This is Pop Culture on Blast. Hello, I'm Josh.
I'm Justin.
And I'm Tim.
Recently, there was an article out about the new Captain Picard Star Trek series that's supposed to be on CBS All Access. And in it, they interviewed Jonathan Frakes. And he had mentioned that he had recently met with Patrick Stewart and that they had talked about the show and how excited Patrick Stewart was. Almost like he was like a kid again. He was that excited about this new show. And that Frakes would be more than pleased to be on the show along with the Next Generation cast. But he did mention that this is going to be Patrick's show. This is his show. But with that in mind, there's a lot of things we can mine out of this show. What's it going to be? We still don't know. It's over a year from premiering, I think.
Yeah.
Well, what are your thoughts on that? Where's the show going to go?
Tim?
Me? Okay. Well, all of that is known is that it's after the events where Romulus is gone.
Right.
And so that's going to play a major part. From what I've heard, he's no longer a captain.
I've heard that too.
No idea what he's going to be. They still haven't said if it's the Kelvin timeline or it's the original timeline. They haven't said a yes or no to that yet.
Well, I heard the same thing, that he's not. They made a point of saying he's not going to be a captain. He's in a quote-unquote different phase of his life. And given that they're using the Romulus thing, I think... I don't know. I mean, I guess you could go either way. My thought is, why have a Captain Picard show if it's not the original timeline? Because he would be a different character.
Well, yes.
Like, so much so that what's the fun in catching up with an old guy if it's not the guy we grew up with? You know what I mean? But I mean, that's just my thought. But this is what I think about the whole thing. And don't get me wrong, I really hope this is a good show. But do you think, what is Captain Picard without the ship? You know, I think Captain Picard inherently is kind of a dull character. I mean, by his own admission, he's a bookworm, he's a desk guy. What does this man do when he is not running a starship? What sort of situation are they going to put him in? I'm sure they'll think of something, but at that point, is it even Star Trek? I mean, is a Captain Kirk show where he's riding horses in Iowa even Star Trek anymore? So whatever they do, I'm sure they're going to have to connect it to Starfleet. So I don't know. I mean,
well, just because he's no longer a captain doesn't mean it's not connected to Starfleet. He's just not.
He could be an admiral,
in charge of his ship.
Yeah.
Well, okay. You go based off the original timeline. Spock is gone. Romulus is gone. The Romulan Empire has fallen. They're going to need someone who's had major dealings with that empire throughout his career to help and stabilize whatever is left of that area, because he's dealt with the Romulans a lot throughout TNG.
Yeah. What about the idea that, I mean, given that it seems pretty obvious, even if they have references or if they show up on the show, the original cast is certainly not going to be major players. Is Captain Picard someone that you need to bounce off of characters that we, you know, like when Picard and Data went to Romulus, for example, in the Spock episode? Picard bounces off of Data, and I don't know. Picard seems like he's somewhat defined by the people he's around. This is why I kind of wonder, what is Picard outside of that setting? Is he interesting enough? I'm not saying Patrick Stewart can't perform it, nothing of the sort, but I don't know. Anyone?
It's just all based on what they make the actual story, which we know nothing about.
But given his,
I'll chime in. I think that's what's one of the things that Patrick Stewart had said is that he would only do it if it was going to be completely different. A completely different show. So yeah, we're going to see something we're not used to. What is Captain Picard without his ship, without being captain? Would James Kirk riding horses in Iowa be Star Trek? No, of course not. It would be something completely different. So I think but that's a good question. That's something I hadn't thought about. So what is this thing going to be? Is it going to be him playing his flute doing
I doubt it.
archaeology? Is that what the
doubt
show
it.
is going to be?
Is he going to be finding the Kurlan Neskar
Well, whatever
with all 7 pieces intact?
whatever it is, one of the tidbits that they've laid out is that he was greatly affected by the dissolution of the Romulan Empire.
See, now that's interesting. Why?
I know the Romulans have never really played into who Picard is as
Not
a
as a person.
No, they haven't.
I mean, his Starfleet career, sure.
Right.
But
Yes.
as an individual, what does he give a shit?
No.
That's, I don't know. That's interesting. Why?
It's always a chess game with them.
Move, counter move, guile and deceit.
Guile and deceit. But what would it be? I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's going to be not like Discovery, hopefully. I think
I'm actually mildly worried that it's going to be Captain Picard in a show like Discovery, which that seems...
I don't think Patrick Stewart would do that. I think it's going to take Star Trek somewhere it's never been, because it's always been, we're space, we're explorers, let's do this. It's good to actually show a different side of that, because there's more than that than just the universe, because every Starfleet, we're scientists, we're not military, and then you bring out the Borg and DS9, and they become more military, and there's wars, and that sort of stuff expanded what Star Trek was, because the original was, we're all supposed to be perfect, we fight the Klingons, but it's okay, they're the Russians, we're America, all that sort of thing. But it expands and shows more than just, hey, humans are scientists. Humans are still messed up even in their future.
Yeah, and at least we know Patrick Stewart is old enough to where he can't pretend to be the action star he was trying to be in the other ones.
Goodness.
So he's going to have to be more like...
do your Patrick Stewart impression.
Do I have one?
Yes. From Generations.
When he got stuck?
Oh! That sounded really lame.
When he got stuck in the rocks?
No, it's in the rocks, but
It's more like this.
Oh, when he gets punched.
Oh!
He's a terrible action hero. He is.
He's not an action hero.
No,
he's
God bless Patrick Stewart. I think he's a great actor, but definitely being an action star, not something I think.
It's not in his forte.
Well, like Tim and I were talking about earlier, this is like a renaissance for Patrick Stewart right now. I mean, after Logan, it's like people forgot that this guy is a Shakespearean actor. Like, he knows what he's doing. And the current movie, the Boy Who Would Be King, and he's done a few things in between that and Logan. But he's really going the dramatic route. So I think you're 100% right. This is not going to be a Star Trek show like we're used to. There may be some phaser fights and all that, but his role will be, I think, more like what it used to be, or more like Sins of the Father, for example. Where he's supporting his friends and being a leader, but not in a physical sense. He's defending someone with his mind. That sort of thing. But Now, when did TNG go off of the air?
I think that was 94.
Was it 87?
So.
Yeah, okay, 94. All this time later, do you think the TNG magic is gone? TNG was a product of its time, and even the movies were trying so desperately to be more than just TNG Star Trek, right? On the big screen. Do you think the magic of Patrick Stewart, Captain Picard, TNG is gone? And do you think whatever this is even going to feel like an extension of that, or just some strange offshoot?
I think it's been gone for a long time.
Too long to recapture?
No, not at all. I think there's been a long enough period to where it's been able to reset.
Yeah.
And now they'll be able to play on what we remember from the TNG era. They'll be able to bring back other actors from the show, which I hope they do, because if not, that would be a crime. I want to see...
Do you want to see Brent Spiner as Data
No,
again?
of course
because
not.
he'd be B4.
Well, yeah, you're right.
Of course not. I want to see Crusher. I want to see Riker. I want to see LaForge. I want to see those characters. Of course, they're not going to play a significant role in the series, but I want to see them. I want to see what they're up to.
Yeah, you want to know what their world is. That's the whole point, is you grew up with them, and now you're at the age to where enough time has passed, you can see they have kids, grandkids, they die, scars, all that stuff. That's what all these new shows coming back is doing. It's showing that you can extend past what you ended on.
Why did anyone ever read anything? Why did they pursue just a Patrick Stewart show? Why not a TNG reunion, which would have been like huge?
Because most likely less money, and it's Patrick Stewart.
Well, maybe.
They honestly have to sell that CBS All Access pass. They can't do.
I would buy one for a TNG reunion show with all of them on it.
Not everyone would though, because a lot of the people, they need feelers out there. The Star Trek they're used to now is action, adventure, and stuff blowing up every 5 minutes.
You might be right. Yeah,
Tim has a point.
Now that you say it like that, it kind of
Patrick
makes
Stewart
sense.
is much more marketable.
Mm-hmm.
His name has been out in the ether.
And they would pair him with younger people to do the
Exactly.
action, whereas the Nemesis showed us how incapable these guys are of doing
You
action.
have him as the mentor, and then you bring in the sexy.
I mean, Nemesis was some other directors.
Nemesis
mistake.
is what it is, but I mean, I love Jonathan Frakes, but my God, that man he's not an action star. There's nothing wrong with it. His fight with that Riemann was a joke. I mean,
It wasn't that bad.
he was 10 years past when he should have been doing that physical stuff. Just like, I mean, God damn it, it's not even about age. It's just about who they are as people. Because in the Generations commentary, I think, did we do a Generations commentary?
We did.
How old was Shatner when he did the fight scene with Malcolm McDowell? And that he still looked like a badass. Like Captain Picard's getting his ass handed to him, and he looks ridiculous in a fight scene. But big fat William Shatner still comes in there, pow pow pow, and you still believe it. So it
wasn't that fat.
It's just
fair.
that's who he was. He projected strength and all of that. Whereas, and I love Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah,
not an action star.
The way he dove for that remote control,
Seriously,
was amazing.
The way he did the manual steering column. Now, there's what we would like to see, and then there's what we'll probably see. What would you like to see, Tim? If they could be your dream list of what this show could be, maybe not in its infinite details, but just in its generalities, what sort of old casts, cameos, what would you like it to be? Q, anything.
Well, they won't bring in Q. I personally don't. It's too big.
Tied to the show.
In my opinion, anything with Q was always on the large scale, and I think they'd focus more on the small to medium scale. Because, it's more epic, and Q brings, I'll bring the war, or I brought you here, and I showed you this. I don't think they need that. Well, officially brought in. I mean, I can have a nice little sly, just have Picard walk by somebody and have Q just turn around like he's been watching him for a while and then just leave. That would work for me, in my opinion.
I keep forgetting that, I get all that. I keep forgetting that this is going to be an episodic show.
Yeah.
I keep feeling like this is a movie, like a one-time event, but we're talking episodes, this is for some reason I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around a Picard-centered TV show. Like maybe a movie I could see, but
It's definitely going to be long form. They're going to follow
a
that
long
trend.
form.
They're going to
They're not going to be isolated, contained episodes like TNG was.
No, they won't be. Just like Discovery, where you have the recurring overall arc, but individual.
I hope it doesn't look like Discovery. That's one thing that I don't want. I don't want it to look or feel like Discovery.
Have you watched Discovery?
I told you I tried. I couldn't make it past the first
because
season.
visually it's beautiful.
I'm up to the
a little
first
dark.
season.
It looks good, but it doesn't look like.
It doesn't feel
Like Star Trek.
I can tell you that it doesn't feel like Star Trek.
And then we can get into the Orville and all that's a whole nother discussion.
Like Justin and I were discussing, it doesn't feel like the Star Trek yet. It feels more like the movie Star Treks. Truthfully, in my opinion, it doesn't feel like the TV Star Trek.
You mean like J.J. Abrams Star Trek?
Yeah, like J.J. Abrams
Kelvin
Star
Trek. That's
Yeah,
basically
the Kelvin Trek. That's what we'll call it. Or that's what
I mean,
it's called. I don't know.
They're gorgeously cinematic. They look like
they are.
movies, no doubt.
It just doesn't have the same feeling.
No. That's what I'm kind of worried about. And I guess that's what I mean when I say, do you think that TNG magic, like Picard belongs in a certain universe? And I feel like maybe bringing him into this fast-paced, modern Star Trek is maybe the tones, maybe that won't even feel like Picard anymore.
Well, Picard, the thing about TNG, the thing about Star Trek as it was in its initial creation, was that it's more of a cerebral.
yes.
It's a cerebral story in the show. It's not I don't know how cerebral Discovery is.
It's not.
It
It's
tries.
it tries, but it fails. It's more action based. Truthfully, it's not really.
That's why I've latched on to the Orville, because
Same.
it reminds me of
Yes.
the Star Trek of old. And
Yes.
I don't want to call it Star Trek comfort food, as some people have said, or
It totally
Star Trek
is, though.
safety blanket.
Yes,
I think that's a bit. I think that's a bit simple, though. I think that's a bit unfair to call it simply that. I think it's doing what sci-fi is good at doing, taking modern day issues and repackaging it in a sci-fi context, so it's one step removed. Mm-hmm. And that's what TNG was. And I think that a Picard show would have to have a feeling like that in order to be
Of Star Trek comfort food?
I don't mean necessarily
No.
that.
I get what you mean when you
but
say
follow the Trek map as it was initially constructed, that layout.
I truthfully don't think Patrick Stewart would join in on anything that he didn't feel would represent what he is as an actor and what he can portray as Picard.
It's not going to be like that. It won't be. It's going to be something completely different, like he wanted. That's the only way he jumped onto the show.
Exactly.
Oh boy, God, what could that possibly be? We really don't know anything. As of the time we're recording this, we know
We don't know
shit
anything
about this show. And I still can't fathom what story they could come up with. Like you said, even if he's not in command of a ship, he could be an ambassador. He could be a lot of things and still be in Starfleet. Or without not being in Starfleet, they could still come and recruit him for whatever reason. But he was also part of an ensemble. You know, Captain Picard, that was a family show, those guys. I don't mean the people watching. I meant the original series was different. That definitely had the Trinity, you know, Spock, Kirk, and McCoy. And even when you didn't have that, you had Kirk and Spock. Picard was always on. He was part of the family, but removed. I still wonder.
Well, by his very nature, he is removed.
Yeah.
This
He's
is what I'm
he's
saying.
a lone
Like,
operator. He
so
was
what
always
is
that
this
way.
character without that TNG cast behind him? They're going to put young people to do all the action.
Of course.
Now
but-
that you bring that up, you know what I am thinking that it could turn into, and I hope it doesn't.
Are you serious? Because you're smiling. Okay.
No, I'm smiling because I'm actually a bit nervous, because this is Patrick Stewart's baby. And you remember when he attempted to do things in a solo effort on TNG,
Give me an example.
like what it turned into. Do you remember the episode with Vosh? And do you remember what was that called?
Oh, Captain's Holiday.
Captain's Holiday.
where he punches the Ferengi.
Yeah. Definitely not one of the series highlights. But that was
The man was irritated when people wanted to have sex with him.
right. I know.
How dare he?
This is,
Patrick Stewart wanted to do his own thing. He wanted to, and
he wanted to try to get out from behind the desk.
he wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
And it was too Picard centric, and it didn't work. It's not a bad episode.
No, and then
Not
when
at
they
all.
tried to give him episodes like Starship Mine, you know, where he was the only one left on the ship when
Yes.
the barium sweep, they're trying to do Die Hard with Captain Picard, and I enjoy
Well,
the
that one's
episode.
okay.
I love that
It's
episode.
a good. I enjoy it too.
Yeah.
But as an action star, granted, we know that's not what he's going to be in this.
I never thought of it as a Die Hard.
It's totally Die Hard on the internet.
I like it. You just see him saying "Yippee ki and I can't say it straight.
Can you say it with a British accent?
No, not right now.
But these are all good examples. Like, what Starship Mine was honest. Think about Starship Mine. That had the B plot of everyone on the planet's surface having the party and all that. If you really think about it, the stuff with Picard by himself, not the interesting parts of the show. Like when he got into a fight with not Tuvok.
The highlight of the show is Data with doing small talk. That's the highlight. What was his name? Hutchinson.
Commander Hutchinson. How can two people talk about absolutely nothing for so long?
Right. So you see my fear in what this could be if it's being completely spearheaded by Stewart.
Yeah.
Then we could get something that could resemble him as Die Hard in space, or as archaeologists on Risa. It could be something like that.
I think we acknowledge that he's too old to do action, and I don't.
But does he acknowledge that?
That's a good question. How old is he? The dude's like 80 years old.
He's getting up there.
I don't think he has any illusions of being an action star anymore.
That's why I want them, and I hope the two of you agree, that this is where the show will go. That it will be what Picard did best, which was
Diplomacy.
Yes. and philosophizing.
And giving speeches.
Right? He gave some awesome speeches. Do you remember the drumhead? Awesome speeches. That's what Picard is best at doing.
Something of personal truth.
He has to, of course, because he has to have the kids to tell what to do. And the kids are going to do it. Because there's always going to be the younger.
That was a good episode.
There's always going to be the
Rascals?
younger people.
No, not Rascals. When they're in the elevator. The turbo ship.
Disaster. I was about to say Rascals.
That was
good. Episode.
But see, that kind of illustrates my point exactly. But that worked because of how his character interacted with the other people. Him alone is boring. He will have to be. I
think that's a little
people.
unfair. I wouldn't say
he kind of is.
It's boring. I don't think so.
It's just Picard's nature. It's not. I'm not blaming Patrick Stewart at all. It's Picard. It is totally Picard. He will be surrounded by people. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be just him.
I think he needs those people to bring out those things in him. Do you remember Tapestry?
Yes.
Well, think about that. His Starfleet Academy friends brought out those things in him. Those
Q. That's why Q was so good with him, because Q was the polar opposite.
No, Q is a good foil for him. He is definitely. I agree.
Jean-Luc never hit me. I can't believe it. That was
Penny
horrible.
for your thoughts.
Is there a Jean-Luc Picard here? Yeah. Okay, so anyway. I never finished totally getting your answer, Tim. Mm-hmm. What would you like to see as a fan, and knowing within the bounds of like what they will or probably will not do? What do you really want to see?
What everything that has a comeback from when it was, we'll bring this character back and show you years later what happened. You know, you have your nice little callbacks to this episode, that episode. You have your cameos from past crew members, but just what he did, like you guys were saying, what he did best is the diplomacy and tell people what to do. But the thing they'd have to bring in now is, I always felt that when he was a captain, he felt he had to step away from them. He couldn't truly be their friend because he was always in charge. But if you take that element out, he can actually try and bond with these people as people and not just be their captain to his crew. He never truly had that, like with Q, because Q, you could kind of pretty much call them equals, even though, you know, Q is a god.
But he wasn't his subordinate.
Right. He was someone he can actually be honest in himself with.
He could yell at him, do whatever.
When everyone else, he had to, you know, tomorrow I might have to go ask you to go kill yourself to save the ship. So I'll be your friend, but I can't truly cross that line to where I will be 100% able to just walk away.
So potentially, they will pair him with someone or some people that are not under his command. Like they could genuinely mean something to him, and he's not in official authority. So therefore, their relationship. Fuck, you don't think they're going to give him a child, do they?
No, I think
you don't think, right?
I think the thing that they might end up doing is giving him one other character's child.
Like bombing around with Riker's son that he also named Jean-Luc. Remember?
Or Ethan.
My name is Barash.
My name is Barash.
That's a good idea, though. I got it. They're going to want to have, sorry, I'm just going to have to say it. They're going to want to have certain demographics.
Of course.
Geordi's kid, right?
Girl.
Even better. It'll be Geordi's daughter, who he went because old Geordi found him on the fields in France or wherever the hell he was.
In Labar.
And, you know, I like that. I really do like that he would be with one of their kids, because Daddy LaForge talked about the great Captain Picard all the time, and maybe his daughter is in Starfleet and she's heading up something because the Romulan Empire has collapsed. They need just making sure. They need a diplomat, and she goes to him. Maybe.
Well, hell, maybe she fell in love with a Romulan, and he's wherever the hell he is, and
yeah,
because there's gonna be the strong female character. There's
right.
got to be at least 2 to 3 people he's gonna be in charge of, and most likely it'll be a balance of 2 girls, him and a guy. You know, ethnically, African American,
you're right,
Asian, because they have to have the balance now. They do, and that's fine because that's the one thing TNG did, is they had the characters balanced out to be able to have enough.
Mm-hmm. If you could pick both of you, if you could pick one person from TNG to physically appear, not just like the voice on a comm, but to be in the same room with Patrick Stewart, even if it's just for one scene, one character, who would it be? Josh.
That's a tough call.
I'm going to come back to you. Tim.
I didn't say you had to come back to me. Okay, I said it was a tough call. Give me a moment. I think that's the person I would most likely want to see would be Riker.
That's who you want to see.
Thomas or Will?
Oh,
come on.
that'd be way too nerdy for them
I
to
know.
like go to that. That'd be cool. But
Yes, Will Riker. I think he would be above all else, probably, because we can't see Data, and I don't want to see Data.
no.
Well,
I wouldn't mind
'cause
hearing.
He's dead.
I wouldn't mind hearing Brent Spiner's voice.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind hearing the voice.
if he's been put into a Starbase computer or some other android.
Whatever happened
That would be-
before, yeah.
like
be
in
okay.
what's the series finale for Enterprise?
These are the Voyages.
These are the Voyages where he was on the comm
Yeah.
talking. That worked.
Right, that was fine.
That was fine. I could handle that. Okay, Riker.
That's super hard.
Just one.
Just one character from the original.
Mm-hmm.
Besides Will.
Will.
Riker.
Well, you could,
Oh, yeah. Well,
you
you
can
can
choose
pick
him
one.
as
Well,
well.
no. I like that. I've always thought that Wesley never got a fair share.
That would be fun.
I would love him to be back and be able to tell some stories from him because everyone just shut up, Wesley, and
Well, we did never
know-
find out what happened with the Traveler.
no, all he does is show up for Nemesis for the wedding. That's it.
Yeah, with no explanation whatsoever.
He's just there. He's just, what's up?
He didn't even say what's up. He just
He
sat
didn't.
there.
He's just sitting there.
He probably
Which-
filmed more and they cut it.
Most likely.
They did have deleted scenes. He had a few bits of
Yeah.
dialogue.
See, I would like to see Wesley there. Truthfully, I would like his story to continue and
They had a
find
good
out.
father-son.
They did actually.
That-
They had
that's potentially
they
very
had a
interesting
good
to mine.
bond.
But would that be too nerdy? Would people not understand it anymore? Because Will Wheaton is, what, in his mid-40s by now?
Yeah,
Late
he's on-
40s?
yeah, he's in his
As
late
cool
40s.
as that is, and I love Will Wheaton, I don't think he has the chops to stand up with Picard in what will no doubt be a very dramatic, high drama show. I don't think that's necessarily his cup
I
of
wouldn't
tea.
discount it completely.
Don't get me
Dude,
wrong.
Stand
It'd
by
be
me.
totally cool. Kids change, man. Look at Macaulay Culkin. He's just not the same.
Have
He's
you
trying.
have you not seen the Google commercial with Macaulay Culkin?
I have. And I mean,
Yeah. He pretty much he didn't change. He changed back. So
I hope for,
I think Will Wheaton can do it if he's given an opportunity. Because I've been watching his YouTube channels and the board game stuff that he does, and
no, that's interesting. That'd be cool. Wouldn't see that one coming.
Well, I'd like to end the discussion on, I'll ask both of you your opinion, since we're so far away from seeing what this show, but when we're so far out,
I think they're just going to call it Picard.
I don't think so. That would just be, I think, a
Cheesy.
little
that's
lame.
too much. Yeah.
Let me just ask you this. Tim, I'll start with you. Do you think that the show will be good? Let me just ask you that. Will it be good?
Yes.
It will be good. Justin, what will it be?
I'm actually like almost talking myself out of it.
It sounds like you are.
But I want it to succeed. I want it to. I do think it will be good. Don't get me. Just like I think Discovery is good. I just don't think Discovery is necessarily Star Trek. Although they do think they're course correcting in season 2, but that's not the point. I do think it will be a good show. My concern is, or not really concern. I wonder if I will feel like it's Star Trek. That's all. Josh.
Well, I don't think it will feel like the Star Trek I know. I think they've
moved
with
away.
Discovery, with the Kelvin Star Trek, I think they've been moving away from that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Some would say fortunately. They like where it's going. But I don't. I don't think they're going to do it the way that I like. So I think it has potential to be good. Because I liked Star Trek Enterprise, and people didn't really seem to think
I
that was...
enjoyed that very much
It's a
myself.
good show.
I liked it.
I don't know what the
That
beef
was a great show.
Right, I liked it. So maybe it could produce something that I do find to be a good show, but maybe not quite like what I remember, what I really like.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have no doubt that if I actually did watch Discovery, that I would probably like it, but it will never be what
Try season 2.
I grew up with. So I think it does have probably about 75% chance of being really good.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also, like I said, that small chance where it will become almost like a vanity project. And it will just, there'll be too many ideas thrown in that Patrick Stewart wants.
Yeah.
Like when he had that dune buggy in Nemesis,
Yeah.
it just won't work.
Yeah.
It just won't work.
Okay. I'll round up the episode with this quick to answer question. Will he die, Tim? Will he die by the end of the season?
No.
Josh?
I think so. You've got a point there.
'Cause Are we assuming? Have they said? Is this a one season like?
They haven't.
They haven't
confirmed that.
said, and I don't think they'll do it. They want money.
I think they'll let the
So-
show go on just like any other show
Exactly.
as long as it's successful. So
Now, does he die at the end? Yes.
Of whether it goes 1 season, 2 seasons.
Yes,
whatever?
it depends on where the end is.
Okay, so now that's a yes.
I see him
wherever
dying.
it
Well,
ends.
not at the end of season 1. I
Wherever
see that,
the
yes.
series ends.
I think going out with a blaze of glory would be something that Patrick Stewart would want his character to do. So it's a good question.
I am going to say no. I'm going to say he will, no matter what happens, he will end that series with something to the effect of him doing like he did in All Good Things, where he's just picking berries, just a quiet old man. I don't think Picard should die like that. I think he should die a wise old man, quietly in bed, exactly the way a quiet man like him would die. Kirk goes out in a blaze of glory. Picard will die an old man quietly in bed.
Him dying an old man
Did you
quietly
say-
in his bed is still dying,
Did you
right?
say Kirk went out with a blaze of glory?
No, he should.
I thought you said he did.
No, I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Okay.
Kirk would go out in a blaze of glory.
He would,
in
yes.
theory.
Yes.
Picard, no. So with that, I think.
Well,
that's
you
it,
almost
right?
you almost convinced me, but okay. All right. I'm Josh. Thanks for listening.
This is Justin. Toodaloo.
Tim, later.